I've been to a Japanese middle school, and I'm studying right now in a Japanese high school. And several years back, I first met this school subject called Koten. Ko means old, ten means texts, old texts, which translates to classics. The class was devoted fully to the study of Japanese classical literature from around the 10th century to the 13th century, which is before Shakespeare. On the first day of my class, the teacher said, "The next hour is going to be crazy, it's going to be hectic. I don't want you guys to get lost or anything, so please write down every word I write on the blackboard." And I was confused. I didn't really know what to expect. And, well, copying down what's written on the blackboard is not really what note-taking is supposed to be. But in the next hour, I accomplished this, or a third of that. So what the teacher was doing was he was taking the original text and then dissecting it into individual words and then writing out the definitions for each word, connecting all of those definitions, and then studying the grammatical structure of each sentence to make a better translation of each sentence, and then connecting all of those translations into one giant summary, and then looking at the historical background and the literary devices such as metaphors and literature and all of that, which is right there. How many of you just got that? I hope not. Just out of curiosity, how many people have taken Koten classes or have studied about Koten? Quite a few of you. Of those raising their hands now, how many like Koten? I see some hands in the back. Friend. Of those that are new to Koten, how many find this appealing to you? I have an apology to make to those Koten haters because that's what I'm going to talk about for the rest of my talk. Anyway, a lot of my classmates reacted the same way. They were overwhelmed with what I've just talked about. They were overwhelmed with all of that information. They were kind of expected to memorize these vocabulary and grammatical structures, and they didn't really see the point in studying this subject. I thought it was a shame for Japanese high school students to shy away from their own culture. So, what is the significance of Koten? Well, to put it short, it provides a foundation for modern Japanese culture. It provides the backbone for how Japanese people think, how Japanese people feel, their sense of beauty, what you see in the streets that you've just seen when you came here. But how does it do that? Some of you might recognize this scene. This is a scene from a film called Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, or Kaze no Tani no Nausicaa. It was directed by Mr. Hayao Miyazaki, courtesy to Studio Ghibli for the picture. So the movie was about this girl right here exploring and adventuring around her world to see the truth and the secrets behind what her world was really like. This movie was actually based on a Koten piece called Mushimezuru Himegimi. The title translates to The Princess Who Loved Insects. It is indeed about a princess who loved insects. She had a weird obsession for caterpillars. She refused to wear makeup. She wrote in manly kanji characters instead of the feminine hiragana characters. She was the eccentric kind of person, but as eccentric as she was, she had a really good point about trying to see the true nature of her world. People love flowers and butterflies, but that's just too ordinary. Those that attempt to see the true nature of everything are truly refined. If you've seen the film before, you might realize that this kind of symbolizes how Nausicaa acts throughout the film. There are a lot of modern texts, a lot of Japanese movies that are based on Koten pieces. So in order to fully understand how these pieces were made and the background behind those pieces, we must understand Koten. Now, Koten not only affects literature and movies, but also affects how Japanese people think. I'd like to introduce a Buddhist concept called transience. Transience is the idea that nothing stays the same forever. Everything changes over time. And a Buddhist monk called Kenko Hoshi wrote 243 essays plus one introduction on the topic of transience. And here is an expert, how boring it would be for man to live forever. Transience is what brings beauty to this world. A lot of samurai warriors took in this idea because they went out to war and then they didn't really know when they would die or live. So they took this idea, put this idea into the code of conduct or how they should behave, which leads into how Japanese people behave today. Transience is a key factor of how Japanese people distinguish right from wrong. Now, I've introduced the idea of transience and the Lady Who Loved Insects and the relationship with the Studio Ghibli film. But there are numerous texts out in the Koten world. A lot of them are hundreds of years old, some even thousands. There's a lot of texts that I haven't even studied. There's romantic novels, historical records, diaries, essays, tall tales. There's a bunch of texts out there to explore. And by learning about these texts, we get to learn new things about the new. So even if you're new to Koten, or coming back from those boring grammatical studies about Japanese classical literature, please try to pick up a Koten piece, because by learning the old, you're going to learn something new about the new. Thank you.